It's the Luton Town show, or beer and breakfast at the Brickies.
Yeah.
But we've eaten our egg McMuffins on the way already. Like driving down the M1. Won't be eating that on camera. So yeah, we're at the Bricklayer's Arms, great pub in Luton. And as you can see, it's just me and Phil today. No Wedge.
Just the two of us.
Yeah, just staring into my eyes as we're saying that. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about everything that's gone on around Luton Town this week, and there have been a couple of games since we last convened at the Brickies. Like we had Sunderland, we had Sheffield United, but I want to open with just one question: are Luton Town going down?
Oh, if you ask
Could be
me,
a very short episode.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we said about just saying before the game yesterday. My response to you was going to be yes. Cut.
Yeah, and then we'll just sit here with our arms crossed for the remainder of the episode.
Yeah, but I feel significantly better after being at the game yesterday. I think that there was a few things that I thought were really positive yesterday. First and foremost, the actual performance. I think the first half in particular was as good as we've been since we played Watford. And I think that the fact that Bloomfield made changes and wasn't just going along with what happened on Wednesday. Because what happened on Wednesday, I'll be honest with you, mate, that wasn't good enough. It simply wasn't good enough. It was a nothing. It was just a bend over and take it performance.
We just turned up.
Yeah,
made up the numbers.
Yeah, we did, and we're firing long balls into Morris at head height, and he's flicking it on to no one because he's got no one up there. And in many ways, he's been getting absolute pelters, Morris, and his performances haven't been brilliant, but. What do you want from him when he's been having the ball fired into him at head high and he's got no one to flick it onto? Whereas yesterday, you see two massively influential players come back in Doughty and Jones.
I thought you were going to say Walsh.
Walsh as well. Walsh got man of the match, and you
can't even complain about.
No, and I'm not anti Walsh in terms of that at all. We've said our pieces on here before about how much of a mug he is for getting sent off so often, but actually he played really, really well yesterday. But I felt like having a threat on either side was really, really good. There were times when I got a bit frustrated with Jones. Like you can see that he's been sort of told to knock it and run.
He's rapid, though.
He's properly rapid. Yeah. Like
there was a moment I think in the second half up against Sam McCallum, who is no slouch.
Yes,
and he gave McCallum maybe about a 15-yard head start, just breezed straight past.
Yeah,
him.
I mean it's speed of Ogbene's nature. Yeah. Like it's rapid fast, and knowing that you can do both sides is really good because we've been quite lopsided when we've got Doughty in the side, especially. We are quite lopsided. We tend to go over towards him. So I felt that was a real positive. The fact that we were playing football, as you said, Walsh, that little sort of duo in the middle.
The defenders.
Yeah.
They had someone to give it to.
Yeah. Yeah, and also someone was giving it to Walsh. So the likes of Naismith playing the ball into the midfield rather than as perpetually going in long all the time was really, really good. I thought that Asgard was absolutely exceptional yesterday.
He was ridiculous.
His feet, I mean, sort of swivel hips or what? Like you just don't know. Even as a spectator, you don't know where he's going to go.
Two-footed player.
Yeah,
and someone like that we've lacked for a long time. That can receive the ball in tight spaces.
Yeah,
it's kind of like how Jordan Clark used to be.
Yeah,
but he doesn't hold on to the ball for too long, and he's happy to take a shot.
Yes,
and he took quite a few shots.
He did. I did, and the one that hit the bar. I mean, that was just we're talking a couple of inches. And it was one of those situations where Wedge isn't here today, but I was messaging him to try and sort of keep him in the loop, and we legitimately could have been 3 or 4-0 up at half time. Legitimately, there was the highlights package. By the way, when we do our championship show and people have a rag on us for only watching the highlights, I get it. The highlights yesterday were not Luton friendly. I tell you, there was the header. There was the header that Adebayo missed in the first half that went wide by maybe a yard from where I was stood. There was the one where he hit it over the bar.
Yeah. Jones was right behind him as well. Like if he'd shouted, like leave it. I think Jones had a better body shape to like receive that ball.
Yeah. And then you obviously had the shot, which was unlucky from Asgard, and we were having shots from outside the area, which I was really pleased. But they chose the sort of timid volley from Asgard after a minute that went straight down the keeper's throat. So it was one of those ones where I felt like it didn't really do us justice as to how the actual game went. But I was really pleased that we clapped them off at half time and that we were in a position to clap them off at half time. Like the reality of how we've played recently has quite frankly not been good enough. And like I said, I feel really happy today, despite the fact that there's a picture of me on Twitter, Ollie. I think I've shown you.
Introduced you as John Piper's son.
Yeah, I've been accused of being John Piper's son. No offense, John, but but I was like, hang on a minute, and then I saw the look on my face, and I was just like, yeah, that's why they've taken that picture, because I'm as grumpy as sin. But look, I can smile.
You're not as sad as that picture suggests, and you did clap.
I was clapping, yeah. It's just that I had one hand free, so I was doing this. So I was doing that a lot as well, yeah. But yeah, I was actually. Obviously, I'm not happy with a loss. But
we deserved a point.
I do feel like we deserved a point. I feel like there's arguments to be made that we could say we deserve 3 points. And Blades fans have been saying that they've been saving players for the midweek game against Leeds.
They made 5 changes. There was no Hamer.
No Hamer.
Callum O'Hare came on.
Yeah.
But it was still a strong team, and they also brought on Harrison Burrows as well at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
He sort of changed the game a little bit, but there still wasn't that threat.
No, and it was one of those ones where they're out of the teams that are chasing it at the top. I think we've spoken about that top 4 on our other show before. I think Leeds are by a cut above the rest of them.
They have the squad and they perform.
Yeah.
Whereas Sheffield United have the squad, but their performances, they've been getting kind of lucky with wins like that, where the performance hasn't been there, but they grind them out.
And the argument would be that that's what people that get promotion do. Yeah. So
it's
you can so you can understand from their point of view that they would have been going back up the M1 going, have some of that. That was absolutely brilliant. That's a title winning, promotion gaining performance. Exactly. And it's the sort of performance where those 1-0s were the ones where when we got up, when we went up via the playoffs, like it was 1-0s most weeks. So you can understand it, but going back to the Luton's perspective, it's one of those ones where I was a bit gutted, but I've got hope going forward into the Plymouth game in particular midweek. And if we play like that each week, even against the sort of so-called big boys, then we give ourselves half a chance. I mean, we're only a win away from going above the dotted line. It's a sorry state of affairs that we're even in this position. Don't get me wrong. I'm not happy about the situation. But coming out of the stadium yesterday, I did feel a sense of hope, that return that ultimately was not there before. It's been pretty bleak for quite some time. Yeah.
But when we look at it from a wider perspective, that is, I would say, the third good performance we've had. And it's about whether we can take that performance and take that into Wednesday night, which is the 6-pointer against Plymouth. That is the game we need to win. But ultimately, I asked, are we going down?
Yeah. Okay, so I'll pin my flag to the mast. I'm going to say yes. And it's purely because of the fact that you're right in the sense that we haven't been consistent in any way, shape or form. You mentioned those 3 performances, right? And you haven't told me this. I'm guessing you're saying Watford, Sunderland at home, and yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then other than that, we're looking at 29 other games where we've not played very well at all.
Yeah, well, we played well in patches, but yesterday was a complete performance. 90 minutes, 95 minutes of playing well.
Yeah, and we haven't seen that. So, and I keep looking over there. For those of you that can't see, there's a poster of Matt Bloomfield over there.
It's done by your dad.
He's looking at me like this.
Yeah.
So,
it was graphed up by your dad, wasn't it? So it's John Piper's graphic design.
Yeah. So
he's talented.
He is talented. So yeah, I'm looking at him thinking, if he can get some consistency out of this, especially now that he's starting to be able to pick from a team of players that he wants to pick from. I mean, in terms of even seeing the likes of part-time Baptiste come back yesterday.
Baptiste, the friendly ghost. I don't think he impacted the game at all.
He didn't. No. But the fact is that he's an option that can come on. I thought that Marv had another good game yesterday, breaking stuff up. But we're realistically, we're missing Mengi, we're missing Burke.
Chong.
And Chong.
Although with all these wide players, they don't really fit into this formation that he's played now. I feel with the shift in formation, I think that was fair.
I think his comments on it were fair as well. He's like, these are the players that fit this system, and if that's how we get our best players on the pitch, that's what we do.
It's pretty much what Rob Edwards did when he came in. He didn't try and change it. He didn't try and turn it up. And yes, now under Bloomfield and that transfer window, we have the players that can fit that system. Like with the 4-3-3. Oh, there's road cleaning outside. Apologies if you hear the noise, like the big old...
Take
we'll have a drink break, yeah.
There we go. The Brickies is fresh. Freshly cleaned.
So, yeah, we have all these players that we brought in the window, and they necessarily don't fit the 3-5-2 that we played yesterday, but the likes of Ali, I guess he can potentially fit in up front as one of the options there, so it's not the end of the world. This is just a stopgap until the end of the season, because the predominant amount of players that we have right now fit the system that we played yesterday, because that is the way the squad has been built over the past 4 seasons. Fortunately, the likes of Asgard do fit into this system.
Yeah.
I like the fact that we played with a 10 behind, and it kind of works. But I feel if Bloomfield had been given longer, if Rob Edwards had gone after Borough, and that brings me on to sort of the second part of my question: who's to blame if we go down? And for me, people have said to me at the games on WhatsApp, why do you pin so much blame on Rob Edwards? Well, I feel as a coach, I've seen good coaches take mediocre players and elevate them to heights. Rob Edwards has a lot of blame to take for this, because the attitude from the players, and the players take some blame as well. Rob should have stopped that carefree attitude, the nice guy stuff. And there was a picture of him yesterday. I think I sent it to you. At Man City, Newcastle. He's there, giving it the old turkey teeth. And I don't understand why he's at a Premier League game. Like, he obviously got invited there. What's his affiliation with either of those teams? No, he's just a celebrity. And I feel like a big part of him, he was probably pissed that he wasn't a Premier League manager anymore.
I mean, maybe it was Graham Jones that invited him, the wounded ex-Luton Town Managers Association.
They got a WhatsApp group, haven't they?
But I mean, I take on board exactly what you said.
But he doesn't look like a guy that's broken at all.
No, he doesn't. And like I say, a break can do wonders for people. It's difficult to know where he's at, and I don't want to speculate necessarily about his mental health. I know that it's been addressed before, but it's a weird one, because I mean, is it ultimately him saying, right, I'm ready for another job, I'm still learning, I'm still being proactive? He's not getting Newcastle or Man City. It's definitely not getting Newcastle or Man City. But to say I went to watch Pep Guardiola's side and say that I was learning from that, you kind of can't say no to that. But going back to your question, I feel like ultimately, as much as he wasn't good enough in the end, I feel like not having the bottle to pull the trigger and get rid of him after the Borough game in November, when Edwards himself was completely on the floor. He was basically begging to be sacked at that particular point.
He was because he was waving goodbye.
Yeah.
He essentially assumed he was gone.
Yeah. Yeah,
and then the post match.
Yeah, and rightly so. Like he called it for what it should have been.
And we all knew that should have been the time he should have gone.
But there was
essentially lost 3 months.
Yeah, and there was a select few people that didn't pull the trigger. So that's where I hold the blame.
Yeah.
So that's to be your answer to that question. That's where I hold the blame, and the fact that those decision-making people at the top of the club haven't been brave enough to make a decision about a guy that ultimately they liked, ultimately the large proportion of the fan base have loved at times, but it was getting sour at that particular point. It was already difficult, and they bottled it.
Yeah, massively. And every single time after that, there was like one result that would just keep him in.
Yeah.
Just it would keep him in there when it was so obvious he didn't want to be there. He didn't want to be at the club.
Yeah.
And that brings us on to Gary Sweet. And look, right away, you cannot besmirch what 2020 have done for the club.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot.
Correct.
However, Gary Sweet is not a football guy. He was a commercial director at Siemens, I think, before getting together, rallying the troops, the moneyed troops to sort of help out and buy the club.
Yeah.
He is not a football guy. And a lot of what he's done is remarkable.
Yeah.
On the commercial side, well, I mean, like, in terms of what's in the club shop is obviously lacking. Everyone's discussed that. And communications can be better by a long way.
Yeah.
But in terms of him taking on the director of football role, I don't think he's not good enough in that sense. And a lot of our success is predicated on Nathan Jones being an absolutely tremendous coach, galvanizing as I said before, a good coach can take an average group of players and elevate them to a next level performance.
Yeah.
And there was some good bits of recruitment, some leaders that were brought in that wouldn't let the quality drop in the team. And we haven't replaced any of those people.
Correct.
We haven't replaced any of them. And that lies on Gary Sweet. It lies on, I hate to say it, Mick Harford. I don't know if, Mick's got to be pushing 70 now. And
it was his birthday midweek, wasn't it? Happy birthday, Mick.
Yeah. Not laying too much blame at you, Mick. But I do think if we do get relegated, even if we do somehow survive, I think the board have to sort of
hold their hands up. Yeah, hold their hands up.
They need to grow some balls and need to, I don't want to say vote Gary off the board. Like, he'll still be on the board, but I think they need to take away the football operations from him and let him focus on Power Court.
Yeah.
Because he's doing a tremendous job with Power Court.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in terms of football operations, we need someone else who's a football man, not part of the group, not part of the old man's club, who can be their own man and do what is needed.
Yeah. There's a few things in there that draw attention to sort of my mind for the future of the club. First one is, obviously, you said about Power Court, and absolutely just want to double down on that and say that we're always gonna have to be thankful, and rightly so, be thankful to 2020 for the way that they've pulled the club out of the mire, taken us to our sort of most recent glory days. But my big worry is that we're going to have a Don's Bowl scenario where
we're going to become like MK. We're going to have like 8,000 people.
Yeah, I don't want to be a League One club with 8,000 people in a 25,000 seat stadium.
To clarify, MK are a League 2 club.
I know they are, and they're not going into being League One anytime soon as well. So, but in all seriousness, like I don't want that to be the plight of the club. I don't want us to be playing in League One with a stadium that's half full. Secondly, you said about people that we brought back in. One good decision that we brought back in, you could see the difference yesterday immediately, was Cal Naismith coming back in. And how much of a leader he is. And
if we are to stay up,
he's going to be pivotal. And I need him right at the centre of that back three. If we continue to play that same shape, he needs to be absolutely right in the middle of it. Because
Did you notice the little things he was doing whenever a ball was played through and a Sheffield United player was chasing it, and he just like get his body in front of
he's just
them,
clever.
Expecting Kaminsky to race off his line and collect the ball.
Yeah.
But Kaminsky was like hesitant every single time.
It was one of those ones. I was also I think I sent you a picture. When you guys were on the concourse, I was feeling a little bit grumpy yesterday. And
we saw it from the picture.
Yeah, saw in the picture that I was. I was there, and I was getting my pre-game pie, just trying to stay warm with my Bovril, and I was watching the warm-ups and seeing how much more vocal Cal is, and how he was ushering Amari and he was ushering McGuinness.
Apparently you've done that for the goal.
Yeah, well,
he needed to bring McGuinness.
Yeah, he needs to have him on a bit of a rein, didn't he? But yeah, I think that he's going to be absolutely pivotal if we've got a chance of staying up. And my third point in regards to what you were saying, and it's a question I actually have for you, and I've not preempted anything like that, but I was talking about it yesterday. If we were in such a scenario where like I said earlier, I predicted that I think that ultimately, if we don't have some consistency, we might end up playing in League One, right? So in that scenario that we go down this year, now we don't know what's going to happen in the remaining 14 games, but let's say that we get 1 or 2 wins and we just blow it, right? Mm-hmm. Charlton don't go up. Bloomfield would have had by that point 18 odd games at some point, and I know that we're saying about a long-term project, and I know it might seem really unfair on Bloomfield, but if we don't see market change within now to the end of the season, do you go for round 3 with Nathan Jones?
No. I think I like what Bloomfield says. He's very straight. He's very straight talker.
Which is interesting to hear you say that, because if it was Rob Edwards saying it, you'd blast him, because he basically is him with a different haircut.
He's got the same haircut.
Yeah, slightly short around the sides, but yeah. So I'm interested to pick you up on that, because I feel like he says a lot of Rob Edwards things.
No. It's completely different, in my opinion. I think what he says, the Sunderland post-match wasn't great.
Yeah.
But I think he's been very straight on it. Like, for me, I was essentially thinking Rob is just saying what we all want to hear. He was looking dishevelled. It was kind of, I've always said it. It was like, for those that watch The American Office, it was like when Michael Scott was feeling raggedy because he was keeping a secret. So he was in his office making himself look really dishevelled and then coming out like looking all huffy. It was like, I felt that was Rob Edwards. He was like making himself look extra dishevelled so he could come out on camera and be like, look, I'm living it. I'm struggling right now. But I don't want to talk about Rob Edwards.
Yeah. So why not Nathan? Go back to that. Or is it more that you want to give Bloomfield a go?
I want to give him a go. Look, he signed a sort of long-term contract, 3.5-year deal. I think if we... And I've sent around, I don't know if I've sent it to you, I've sent like a screenshot of the squad and I've put like red crosses through. I think I had 13 players that need to go.
Okay.
There needs to be a complete refresh. And if we go into League One, do a complete refresh and hopefully get rid of all the players that are broken, can't be asked, then I think if Bloomfield is actually allowed to recruit and bring in people that he wants... Not people that Gary Sweet wants, people that Bloomfield wants, then I think we could have a proper good go. Because look what he did with Wickham.
Yeah.
He did well with Wickham.
Yeah. I don't want to get it confused that I'm anti-Bloomfield, by the way.
There are a few people that are very anti-Bloomfield.
I'm just open to that question of a scenario. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want nothing more than for us to have that consistency we just spoke of. I want Bloomfield to be successful. I want to hear more of him. I think that, like I say, for some of his interviews, I do feel like he's a bit of a clone. But I also think that that's from being media trained as well. I think that's just from being media trained and sort of saying things that you have to do.
He has a degree in broadcast media as well.
So they're all trained. All the managers are trained to say pretty much the same thing.
Unless you're getting a Holloway or
exactly,
or one of those types, or a Warnock who's too old to give a shit.
Exactly. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt for that, and I want to see him. I want to see more of his personality come out. I want to see him be successful and have the summer and be in the Championship ultimately. But it's one of those situations where you kind of think if disaster strikes and we do go down, you've got a guy there that's synonymous with the club. He's been brilliant with us at that level. He might also be thinking that if he does well with Charlton and if he just misses out, then he'll be looking back at getting a step up into the Championship again and he'll bypass us. But
absolutely. Look, I think for both parties, for Luton Town and Nathan Jones, both need to show they can do it
without each other.
Because for NJ, he failed at Southampton. I think if he'd been given more of a chance, and to be honest, when he goes in at a club like a Stoke or a Southampton where the players think they're, I was going to say hot shit.
God's gift to football.
They think they're God's gift to football. He needs players that want to graft.
Yeah.
And he's built that at Charlton. Fair play to him, because they had a bit of a slow start, and it's only recently that things have picked up.
Yeah.
I think the League One playoff battle is tough. You got some proper teams in there. You got Orient, Charlton, and Wrexham, who look like they're not going to be able to catch up with Wickham either.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a right old tough one. And I think well, NJ hasn't been blessed in the playoffs, has he?
No.
No.
He's
got to show that he can do it without Luton Town, and we got to show that we can do it without Nathan Jones now.
Yeah.
Because virtually all our success over the past decade has been built on what Nathan Jones has done at the club.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
That promotion was built by Nathan Jones. The promotion to the Premier League, the promotion from League One was built on NJ. Yes, he wasn't around for either of them. Like he said it himself in that Sky Sports documentary.
Yeah.
He says like someone walking your daughter down the aisle.
Yeah, he desperately wanted to say, I felt sick. I felt physically sick. He desperately wanted to, but he went with something else.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. And like, look, Rob Edwards did a good job. He got an extra level, but I've said it before. He kind of was like a cheerleader, and I hate to bring up Watford, but you know Cisco Munoz. Yeah. So when Cisco Munoz took over from God knows Watford manager number 58, that season when they were struggling in, I think it was the season behind closed doors. We beat them at Kenilworth Road thanks to James Collins' pen. Yeah, they were going up that season. They had a ridiculous squad. The manager before him, Watford manager number 825, had struggled to get the most out of the players. Cisco Munoz comes in and he galvanizes that team. And Cisco Munoz has struggled everywhere else.
I was going to say he was
Sheffield
recently. Wednesday fans were absolutely lambasting him earlier on in the week.
Not a good coach, but a good motivator, a good person that can bring together a talented bunch, and that's pretty much what Rob Edwards did. But obviously we're grateful for the promotion. But I feel, look, people forget we finished 6th the season before. We were always in and
we were
around
a good side,
it, and we're only 8 points off the top spot that season when Nathan left, and that was with the poor run of form leading up to
the injury ravaged close to that particular season. I mean, we were walking wounded at that point, weren't we?
And the form dropped off as soon as Nathan was tapped up by Southampton as well.
Southampton, by the way. How's your points tally going?
Well, I think they might beat Derby's record.
They've got 2 points leeway. I think they're on 9 now.
Yeah.
So they've got 13 games to play.
I think they'll be fine.
So
that record is never getting beaten. It's really bad.
It's really bad.
Yeah, 11. Yeah. How bad you have to be to, get only 11 points.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how Southampton get on because they get tanked everywhere they go. At the minute.
They'll be fine. They'll be fine. But I don't think it's time for round 3.
No, that's fair.
Even David Pleat didn't come back.
He was there yesterday, though.
Oh, was he?
He was there yesterday. He was sat next to Mick Harford. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because he is the UK scout for Celtic now. Yeah. It's a shame we never really found. Well, I said we don't need jobs for the boys, but it's a shame we never really found something for Pleaty.
Yeah, especially when you can talk about the actual football operations side of things and the comments you made earlier on.
But we need someone that is their own man. I think David Pleat is his own man, but he is 80. He's old.
That's it.
Yeah,
but he knows football. So, like I say, that's experience. So, but it was good to see him yesterday. All things said.
I bet. Right.
What I didn't ask you though.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are we going down?
Well, I couldn't see much yesterday. I sent you a picture of
of Matey Boy in the hat. Yeah.
God, this bobble was about the size of my head, and it didn't help the fella that was sitting in front of me.
Like a head on top of a head.
This guy was 6'5" as well, so tiered seating. And this guy was virtually like his head was level with my head. Then he had a massive bobble on top of his head as well. And I was like, wow, that is an egregious hat. And I had to tell him to take it off so I could see. But I missed the first minute of the game.
Yeah. I mean, you
couldn't see anything.
You did really well because I said to you, didn't I? You need to pray for a goal and grab it.
Do I think we're going down? Yes. I'd like to be proved wrong, though.
Yes,
but
I agree.
To be honest, I've been saying we're in a relegation battle pretty much since
you have
QPR.
Yeah, you have
QPR at home. I said we're in a relegation battle.
Yeah, you have. You have.
Lambasted for that. Yeah,
it's the territory, isn't it, mate?
I know.
We're both used to it. Like I say, you get hated, you get called all sorts. I get called John Piper's son. What can we say?
I think you got it worse right now.
John's going to be thinking, why am I getting picked on so much?
Welcome to the John Piper Son Show. Yeah, well, we love you, John. All the best.
Yeah.
Right. Should we get an update from the Sluga 6?
Yeah, the Sluga 6.
So I got a direct hit.
You did. You smashed it. Yeah. Unfortunately, it was to our detriment, but you did call it. And you were far more sort of positive than I was, because I had us down for a 4-0 thumping after the Sunderland game. I was genuinely worried, so I was really pleased that Bloomfield made 7 changes. And speaking of 7, you got 7 points, which is good. So you've caught up with a little bit with Wedge. You're sort of drawing back into the pack. The problem is that we're all competing against AI Matt, because I'm sure that that Matt uses AI, because he is absolutely blasted away. Yeah, Matt, if you're watching, congratulations. But yeah, he's done all right. Wedge in the opposition. We had Jimmy from Blades Ramble give us our. He's a very, very good guy. He gave us our predictions, and I'm hoping to speak to Argyle Life this week. I've sent them a message. We'll see how we get on. But
Scout report.
Yeah, the scout report with a little jingle. Yeah, so
it's
we'll
one
see.
of the best jingles I've ever heard.
Yeah, best but worst as well at the same time.
Catchy.
But yeah, I'll keep on popping up my my lowbrow score updates on Twitter and tagging OK Football. So have a look if anyone's well. And just to reiterate, I haven't spoken about it for a little while, but all of this is because we're looking to make a charitable donation at the end of the season, based on our prediction league. So if the opposition podcast win, we'll go straight to Luton Town Food Bank. But if not, it'll be a donation of our choice. So it's all for a good cause.
It is indeed. But I think that's it for this week.
Yeah.
As always, a big thank you to our audio partners, Black Star, Amplification and Carry On, for the toys on the table. And a big shout out to the pod sponsors, the Record Shop in Amersham. Wherever you are in the country, it's worth travelling down to Amersham, check out the vinyl, the CDs, the guitars, mention the OK Football Show, and you will get a cheeky little discount on your vinyl. A big thank you to our host, the Bricklayer's Arms. We don't know how to pull a pint, so
and Maz is in bed, so we've been on the bottled stuff.
Yeah, we get let in, and then we just help ourselves to what's behind the bar, but we can't pull a pint. If only. We'll have to take a bartending course. But there is good beer on tap, so come on down, check it out. Match days during the week, they show Luton games. They're all on Sky Sports Plus now, aren't they? Yeah. So come on down and check it out. But as always, let us know in the comments. Do you think Luton Town are going down as well? Hopefully not. But,
on to the next one at Plymouth. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. But as always,
come on, you Hatters.
Come on, you Hatters.